Hey everybody, welcome back to the IFTV podcast. This episode gets a little bit wild, as it usually does when all the boys are together. We filmed it right after the Supercoppa final where Inter won, so we dive deep on the game. We talk about how good Inzaghi is at setting up his teams in the finals. Anto goes off on the referees, and we couldn't really do anything about it. That's just the way that he is. See if you agree. Let us know in the comment section below. And we take a big portion and we talk about Jose Mourinho. The rest of the guys did not get to comment on his sacking. So we say if it was the right decision, if he deserved to be sacked, or if he should have been able to continue the season. De Rossi replacing him, if he is the right man for the job long term. And we say if we think Mourinho could already be returning, with the rumors that Laurentiis is meeting to try to bring Mourinho to Napoli. And the last, on a somber note, Gigi Riva unfortunately died, legend of Italian football. One of the reasons why Mike and I started this podcast is because we used to always go out to dinner with Antonio, who's kind of like my adopted uncle, and my dad, Gaetano, and they used to tell us stories about Italian football, stuff that happened before we were born. And it's so important to know about your past and to know who laid the foundations of Italian football to understand the current times. So I think them giving the context of who Gigi Riva was, what type of player he was, we spend a lot of time on that. I didn't expect it, but they had a lot of thoughts on it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope for some of the younger audience, for some of the people that didn't get to watch him, you get an idea of who Gigi Riva was. Guys, hope you enjoy this episode. Make sure you like, subscribe. We still got merch available on ItalianFootballTV.com. This is the most comfortable hoodie you will ever own. I guarantee you. Anyway, enjoy the episode.
Over 95 champions, guys. The champions on the...
We can start.
He got that from the bowling alley. The bowling alley medal.
Wow. He's rubbing it in, this guy here.
He deserves it. I mean.
Hey, by the way, are we live or are we just what's the deal?
We're live.
Oh,
Listen,
we're
how many over 65 trophy are you going to win?
First of all, I'm not even 55. What were you expecting me to get an over 65?
How many 55 trophy?
I don't have to.
Oh, okay.
Give me a phone. I don't have to.
Hold on. I'm proud. This was very, very important to me to win this over 65 because I thought I would never get there, and I thought that I would.
Why?
Because there's a team that's better than us, and the final for the last 3-4 years. They always have beaten this team. I'm only there for 2 years, last year and this year.
How old are you right now, by the way? How old are you right now?
I'm 66.
Oh, 66. All right.
So I played last year, this year.
So they have the bigger budget than you guys, right? They got the bigger budget buying all the...
this team here, the owner, he pays for all the hotels and all the flights.
It's like the Man City of over 65.
He spends a lot of money for the
City
tournaments, I guess. So every time they been going to this tournament, then they get to the final and then they lose. But this year so I figure I'm looking ahead. I said I would like to win an over 65. So I won over 50 trophy. I won 2 over 60, and now I got 1 over 65. And
nice.
my goal is to win 1 over 70.
Gaetano, in front of everybody, I would officially like to shake my hand. It is a big achievement. I gotta be honest with you.
I'll be honest with you. When you said that you were going to the final, I had deja vu again. Because I remember every time you've left, you've come here, and then we talk about you losing in the final. Yeah. You were like Juventus in European finals.
Gaetano, it's not every day where we have a podcast with a champion as yourself. The last one we had was Materazzi, and now you're the next one. So who knows?
Don't go that far.
Similar records. Let's say with that.
But this club actually has the World Cup championship for over 70.
Wow, not bad.
So...
A new over 65 champion has born and another one unfortunately has died.
Wow, what a way to
But not over 65, over
79.
Gigi Riva. Unfortunately, we lost one at the best. If it's not the best on his role, given the fact that he has scored, I think, more than 25 or 30 goals in the Italian national team.
No,
this guy,
35.
35.
Most
oh my God.
for an Italian ever.
It's amazing.
You guys watched him play, obviously,
goodness,
right?
Of course.
So I remember him in the late 60s. And the reason why he was so big is because he played for Cagliari. He played for 15 years. He played for Cagliari, and so if we go back to Second World War, in the last 80 years, Mike, how many championship would you say between Torino and Milano they won? So
from 80 years?
From 80 years, yeah.
You would think the majority of them, right?
Well, let's say 75.
No, more than that.
Right?
Okay.
Rome?
So between
I'll guess 5. What do you guys guess?
What do you mean?
5. Outside of Torino and outside of Milano, who's won?
Other clubs that won.
Well,
I
Okay,
think
I'll
less.
say
I say
7.
less.
I'll say 7.
No, there's more. There's a little bit
Okay,
more.
how many? What's your number?
Well, there is
I say
Genova won
4.
7 championship. Fiorentina
within
won.
those
Roma
8.
won.
Within
Lazio
the
won.
we say between the last 80 years.
Yeah. Without those 4 clubs,
between
right?
Milano and Torino.
80 years.
What's the percentage of winning that they won Scudetto?
How much percentage of how much they won?
I would say
I would say
95% they won.
70.
I said 7 other times.
Yeah. So it's 80%.
80%.
80%.
So in the last 80 years, 80% of the time it's between Torino and
Milano.
So
and
20
Milano.
20 other times.
Yeah, about 20 years.
That's
And so when Cagliari won in 1969, all Italy was so happy because every year was Inter, Milan, or Juventus.
It's an underdog
and
story.
Torino too won after Torino won a few also. So we were all so happy, and the reason why we were so happy is Gigi Riva. He was the guy that was scoring the goals. So at that time, if you had a good defense, you close yourself in defense, you win the game 1-0, and that's how they did it. And Riva was one of the major reasons why they won the Scudetto that year, because he was fabulous in scoring goals.
Why didn't he go to a bigger team?
He won. The Juventus was trying to get him for so long.
He's
to be
from there, right? He's from Sardinia?
No,
No,
he's
no.
from Milano. He's
Yeah.
from very close Varese, very
province,
close
yeah.
to Varese.
So why
He's,
didn't he? Why didn't he
Legnano,
go to
one
the
of
big
those
guys?
places. But
The reason why I think is sometimes, is like Totti. At that time, I think 50 years ago, 55 years ago, there were certain players who would spend the whole career with one team. And also, it was difficult to change teams. If you were with that team, and he was the captain, he was doing very well in the national team. He was the bandiera of that team. And if you go back, there are certain players like Totti, like Del Piero, that they stayed in that club.
it was by choice. You're right. Gaetano is right. It was by choice. He wanted to play with the lower. In Italian, we say squadra blasonata, because he wanted to demonstrate that by just putting hard work, you can just achieve the top results. By just regardless of where you're playing. If you play on his achievement will be a lot lesser. Valued if you won with Juventus or with Milan or somebody else. But when you win it with Cagliari, you are the only one over there that actually technically brought the team on your back, and then you are. It's the only one that you can remember. If you were Gori, it's another one that you can remember. Pesaula, I think it was. I don't know. Was he the allenatore? This is I'm trying to remember right now.
I don't remember.
Yeah, they were. I know Gori was playing with him. Gori and Riva. There were very few.
But I remember
Juventus was trying to get him for so long,
because it was something that did not happen when we were watching. It was always those teams. So when Roma won, when Lazio won, when Fiorentina won, those were
the big moments.
Moments. And if you were part of the team, you were the captain, you became a hero, and they will never forget you in that town. You forever live as a hero in that town.
Absolutely.
So good memories. Left wing, he went down the line, he took a shot.
What a lefty! What a left shot!
He had a
left shot.
You can stop.
Bolide. Bolide. They used to call him bolide.
You couldn't stop him. He was, and he would dribble his man, and then.
But even out of the field, Marco, a real gentleman, very humble, very quiet, never a show off, you never heard any negativity about this guy.
Yeah, he was a gentleman.
Was very close to be a saint.
And I have good thing you remind me, because I wanted to say something. I have some players that play for the national team, and I spoke to them. And they said whenever there was something among the team, some kind of disagreement, who do they call? They called Gigi Riva.
He was that guy.
To talk,
resolve it, right?
To resolve it.
Yeah.
And he was always present. He didn't want to create. He didn't like if there were disagreement in the teams, controversy and everything. He was always trying to put the people together.
And you
That
will
was
never
one-
see
was
that on the
nice.
newspaper either, because Riva will keep everything quiet on the locker room. We'll talk with the parties. What's the problem? What, how can we resolve this? This how we resolve? No problem. This is. You will never hear from the papers. Oh, Riva said that. No, you will never hear that because it was just low key. Everything is quiet.
That's good. That's
And
really
it
May
was
he
around
rest in
soccer,
peace.
and that's it.
Wow, 79, not
Yeah,
even that
no,
old.
no.
And to be
really these days.
and also to add, it was nice that unfortunately he did go, but he ended up being the capocannoniere for the Azzurri right now. So that it's obviously not an easy record to break. So that's a huge achievement for him. We're talking about club in Cagliari, but also for the Azzurri, that's a huge accomplishment.
All right, let's move on. We got a lot of topics. Guys, you weren't here when Mourinho got sacked.
Oh, yeah.
We got a new coach in Rossi. Juventus and Vlahovic are really hitting new strides. Today, though, we had the Supercoppa Italiana final. So let's hit on that first. Inter won this game in crazy fashion. I mean, they were the ones that were attacking for the entire match. Napoli tried the 3-4-3 formation, which worked against Fiorentina. They won 3-0. But for me, they were never really in this besides, a counterattack where Quada had a nice shot in summer. But Inter showed me, again, that they can win in any way. Doesn't matter what you do against them. You set a low block, they'll find a way to break you down, even when they were not the most clinical, right? Because today was one of the games where they were missing a lot of opportunities. But they win again.
Yeah, they were missing opportunity, but they got the referees on their side, and they got...
not all.
It is what it is,
Not
man.
all, come
The
on.
red card, I think it would have been spared. It takes away from the spectacularity of the soccer and on the game itself. I mean, you're playing. I mean, is that legit? Yes, but are you going to give a red card when you're trying to showcase the Italian soccer away from Italy and where everybody else is watching?
What does that mean?
It
What does that
means
mean? If it's a yellow card, if it's 2 yellow cards, then you
the
get a
first
red
one
card.
was
That's it.
very soft. It would have just let it
The
go.
referee the entire match was giving out yellow cards like crazy.
De Laurentiis was very critical about the referees stuff. I mean, as a tifoso though, right? As a president, he was saying, sto parlando come tifoso. So as a fan, De Laurentiis had something not
We're
nice
not playing
to
the
say.
game at all? We're not playing the match at all?
No, but they did not need the extra help from the refs. It would have just been, if that guy would not given a red card, Inter would have won anyway. Whether it would have been at the penalty kick, probably they would have won during the regular time. But don't do that.
Shift the focus,
Just
Mike.
the
Focus.
Just the controversy aside, to be honest, it just seemed like Mazzarri really wanted to set that low block like Marco was talking about and hoping to retain Inter as best as they can, especially going down with 10 men. I think with that almost they were really pushing to go to penalties and try their luck at the shootout, and they were literally this close from doing it. But Inter were very wasteful with the chances. They did have the majority of the chances. Napoli, for the most part, didn't look threatening at all or looking to score. It seemed like they really want to defend first and not concede that goal. That's what it looked like that was going to happen. But Inter are champions. They almost always find a way to win. And they didn't play as nice as you can say in the semifinals against Lazio, but they get the job done. Even though they don't play as good and attractive football like that, they still had their chances.
Still attractive.
It's still
they
attractive.
just weren't scoring.
But I'm just saying that
The only
performance against Lazio was like a 5-star
But there was
all-star
one point.
game
There was one
performance.
point in the game where Napoli had 10 guys. I counted 10 guys in the
Yeah.
box. I mean, it's not easy. There's
No, it's not.
big
Yeah,
teams.
when
There's
you're
massive
defending
teams
like
that
that, it's tough.
struggle even at that moment. What do you
It was
make?
tough.
They had a lot of chances. I mean, they were playing always down there. And usually when you have so many chances, then at the end you get punished. But this is another way of Inter that is showing that they can win in many different ways.
Exactly.
And even though they missed all those chances, when do they score? They score in the last 3-4 minutes.
Extra time.
So extra time. So they still believe that they could have won this game. And that's the difference right now between Inter and the other teams. They believe until the end that they can win the game in any way.
Juventus have that this
Juventus
year.
has that, yeah. Juventus has that.
not easy to
But
have.
if you have 20 teams and there's only 1 or 2 teams,
I understood.
You know what I see? I see Mazzarri technically is saying, hey, you embarrassed me the last time that we played, which was the first week or second week that he was in Napoli. They were embarrassed in Napoli. They lost 3-0 against Inter. I said, we're going to have to change over here. We're not going to be, giving all the space that we allowed them on the first time around. So what they did, they sat back a little bit more. They tried to counter, but it didn't work out this time. They didn't have Ozyman with them. Not that Ozyman was a big factor even when they played them, but I mean, it didn't work out. Even the change of formation, you go from the 4-man defense, you go to 3-man defense. It didn't work. So I mean, kudos to
They were
Inter.
close.
Yeah, they got
What do you
close. I
think
mean,
about it?
They were close, but they took one shot.
I know.
I know.
They had that one
They
shot
were
from
never-
Quada
But
where
listen,
Summer
if
did
they
amazing,
manage to
and
go
that's
to
it.
penalties, anyone could win at
Okay,
that
so
point.
the game plan is pray and hope that we could get
I'm
the
not
penalties.
saying pray and hope, but when you play a team
But they
like
get close.
Inter,
They got close.
who were one of the favorites to compete in all fronts.
They got close on the scoreboard. They didn't get close on
The pressure
on
was
Yeah,
on
the
Inter.
on the play.
scoreboard. Oh, yeah, I
Marco,
mean,
the
not all
pressure-
games have
the
to be
pressure
pretty. You
was
got to
on
get the
Inter to
job
win.
done somehow.
But they didn't do
course.
either one of those. Is
I
my
know,
point.
but I'm just saying it happened in extra time. It was close. I'm not saying.
But they should have had a goal. I mean, Thuram
I get it.
missed
No, yeah, I know,
a
he
chance that was
stuffed it.
crazy.
I
The
know.
game could have been.
But there's a lot of ifs and buts. But regardless, they were that close to the final whistle to go to
Inter-
penalties and anything.
for
could
me,
happen.
Inter were night and day above.
No, they were
Yeah.
better.
No,
No,
where is
no
it?
one's arguing.
And when I
Nobody-
see
no one's arguing
when I
that.
see how far Napoli has come, it's crazy to think that that's the argument, right? We will go from the most beautiful football in the world to now I was scratching my head and I'm like, my gosh, they just holding on. It's sad. It's sad to see them this low.
If the score was 3-0,
Nobody
You
would be
wouldn't be
complaining.
surprised.
Right now.
nobody would be
Yeah.
So
surprised.
let's talk about praise Inter a little bit more. Lautaro, 3 goals in 3 Supercoppa finals. They win 3 in a row. They're absolute specialists in this tournament. They did it against Milan. He scored against Milan. He scored against Juve, and now he scores against Napoli. And Simone Inzaghi has the most Supercoppas out of any coach in Italian football history with 5. You're rolling your eyes. Maybe it's not the most glamorous competition. Financially, the incentive is massive because they get 8 million euros. Reminder, the winner of Coppa Italia, we have to play many more games than 2 matches, wins 4.5 million euros. So it's double, almost double that amount. All of that aside, we have to admit, Simone Inzaghi in finals is a specialist.
He's good at
He
tournaments.
puts out an incredible team.
He's good at tournaments. Yeah.
I have to be honest with you. I 100% in agreement with what you just said.
Oh,
but,
let's hear this. Let's hear the buff.
But why do we have a competition that will carry over the red card, the yellow cards, and all of those things into the campeonato?
I agree with that.
That's
That should
strange.
be standing on their own.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
the competition is over. Whatever happened in Vegas stays in Vegas, or whatever
What you
happened
do in Vegas?
in Saudi
Have you
Arabia.
ever been to- have you
I've
ever been
in
to
Vegas? Oh yeah.
Did you
But
get in
it's-
trouble in
He's
Vegas?
not gonna say
Wow.
it. Stays there, right? It stays there.
I had my wife and my son next to me. I couldn't really do much, but
Roam around.
you know, in Riyadh, whatever happened in Riyadh should stay in Riyadh. Let's not all of those
I agree
things
with
now
that.
carry over into Serie A. Now we found Napoli that is got no
that's crazy.
Ozyman because he's playing the African Cup, and now it's not gonna have Simeone, and it's gonna have a couple other people with the yellow card that they probably adapt to the rest of the
And Inter's
the
missing
campionato.
Barella. Yeah,
You know,
it's
it
not
it
good.
is something
Yeah,
that they
that's-
might want to
that's
review
crazy.
that stuff.
That's one thing that we definitely need to get rid
Fix,
of.
yeah.
We've said it too in other competitions. I think even in the Coppa Italia,
You know,
Oh, the same thing even in Coppa Italia they carry over?
it happened in the past.
But even still right now,
I'm
we
not,
have to
I'm
double
not
check.
positive. I believe so.
Oh, by the way, what do we say hello to our producer? He just walked
People
in.
don't see him on camera.
Oh, but
Anto.
it doesn't matter. The fact that he's invisible, that doesn't mean that he's not here.
sure.
Mr. Producer, how are you?
hello, producer.
Dad, I want to ask you.
He came
Is this
in.
that you mentioned history? We talked about Gigi Riva. You too. Is this the best? Not winning wise, style wise. Is this the best Inter you've ever seen? Football wise, passing, fluidity,
Champagne.
champagne football.
Probably since the tripleta, I think this is.
But were they better than what? Not player wise.
No.
Not at winning.
Performance.
Take away that. But I'm just saying the
How they
beauty of the
look.
football.
Yeah, I mean it's beautiful to see. It's nice to see from the outside.
But is it better?
You're
Or better
It
than
i-
the triplete?
It is
By far.
It is
Mourinho
better
coach that-
when
Mourinho
you
coach that team.
win. When you win,
I agree.
If you win the Champions League and you win,
He's going
the
around the
Scudetto,
question.
I get what
it
he's
will-
saying.
It will be better.
It's
Otherwise,
like a fine line. You know what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say?
Mourinho was a coach of that.
And
so,
they beat up Barcelona. That was,
and they weren't supposed to.
They were
But-
aliens.
They weren't
With-
supposed to, yeah.
But
with Messi,
But
with Xavi,
we're
with
talking
Iniesta,
about
with
with
Guardiola,
Ibrahimovic.
Ibrahimovic.
listen,
Ibrahimovic.
you're talking about
That was
Inter,
peak.
but as a style of playing, the Milan of Saki was the.
We're talking about Inter
I
right
know,
now.
I'm saying.
Right now we're talking about
talking
Inter.
about Inter, but as a style.
All roads lead to Milan. AC
Il
Milan.
We'll get
Milan
to you.
di Gullit, Van Basten, Rijkaard,
Okay, I'm gonna
Baresi,
do.
and
I'm gonna
everybody
do you one
else.
more.
That's
He's
funny.
gonna hate
Yeah,
this.
he's gonna hate that. Let's
you're
see if
gonna
I'm
hate
gonna
this.
hate
You
that.
too, maybe.
YouTube.
there was an argument coming up that through football there's been different moments. There's been guys that change football. Arrigo Sacchi at Milan was a style of football, and then the rest of the world learned from them, right? Then you go on generation after generation. Pep Guardiola changed football
Cruyff.
with Barcelona, Cruyff, right? Manchester City, even what they are doing now to reinvent themselves. Do you think we're entering this new style that Simone Inzaghi is helping to bring? Because I've personally never seen a left center back like Bastoni be the one who's crossing the ball on the wing, or Acerbi's running up, he's on top of the box trying to be a playmaker. Are we entering that moment?
No,
take it easy.
Easy.
Yeah.
What are you
You're
talking
asking for a
about?
lot.
I'm just saying, if you put your emotions
But it's different.
aside,
It is
You
different.
forgot Cruyff, Beckenbauer. Those are some of the best people that they started from the backside, that they were the calcio totale. Those are the people. The history is come on, Bastoni doesn't
not
even
Cruyff.
belong. You know what I mean? Hey, God.
I'm not saying Bastoni specifically. What I mean is, I heard Spalletti speak about this last year with his Napoli, because they kept trying to pin down formations to him.
Name
And he said,
somebody else, but not Bastoni.
he said formations are what everybody likes to talk about in the past. 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3. His football and the way that he thinks football is going is that it's not about formations. It's about teaching your players to see where space is and to be vertical and to exploit that space. And that's what I see from Inter. You don't see a strict formation. You see a guy like Di Marco who instinctively knows, I should build into the space in the center of the box, who the guy's a natural fullback. And Bastoni, who's a center back, he's on the wing crossing the ball. You know what I mean?
Because there's less
You know what I'm saying?
horizontal passes and more vertical passes.
Inter
I
is
feel
the most vertical team
That's
I've
what I'm
ever
saying.
seen.
Instead of passing back to the goalie where Gaetano loves,
But they
or
do
pass
that.
it on the side, they try to go forward. That's their main
But
thing.
they do that today. Did you watch because Napoli was playing with everybody back?
Yeah.
They would pass it to Sommer. Sommer's passing ability is amazing. He would give a ball to the center midfielder or the striker who would
Was not
come
going to
in,
the side.
and they're able to go 1-2.
Right.
So if they go back, they go with purpose. It's not some of this horizontal type of football that they're passing for the sake of passing. Oh, let's get 800 passes,
Marco, it's easier said than
99%.
done. With the players that Inter has, they can afford to do that. You cannot do that with the same formation. Other teams, they cannot
But
do
they
that.
built to be
Juventus
able
got
to
the
play
same
like
formation.
this. They built to play
There's
like
also a
this.
stat too, with the fewest amount of passes going forward, they were the
Yeah.
most clinical in scoring
3
goals in the
touches.
top
3
5
touches,
leagues.
yeah.
Yeah, we posted on Twitter a few days ago. If you could look at it, but in the top 5 leagues with the least amount of passes, they were the most efficient of scoring goals.
It's so true, though.
Unlike Barcelona scoring 100 passes to score 1 goal, Inter would do it.
In 3 passes, 4 passes.
Whatever the key, I don't want to make up the
They're
numbers
so
in front
vertical.
of me,
That's
but
my favorite thing about them.
says a lot.
It's vertical. Anyway, whatever.
Let's
Just
stop praising Inter. Let's go to praise some other team like AC Milan.
Let's
And by the way, I just want to say,
Go for it.
remember all the negative stuff we're talking about Inzaghi, if he should stay, he should go or whatever. Maybe sometimes a coach needs to stay a little bit longer than a season or two to really implement the monster football he's. Wanto, come on, you
it's a
gotta
good,
give credit.
You know what? It's a good
on.
conversation
After all
because
the money that they spend, Mike,
they didn't
come
spend
on.
money.
I
Come
can
on.
win with a team like that.
No.
But look how they play.
All right.
No, but don't put a but on that. They have guys at Darmian. Nobody thought about Darmian. Acerbi. Everyone said he's finished. Thuram was a free transfer. They were smart.
Yeah.
Mkhitaryan. Everyone laughed when they got Mkhitaryan. Mkhitaryan's playing 90 minutes and playing some of the best football. Hakan Çalhanoğlu was on your team. They reinvented him. They put him as a regista.
Di Marco looks like a player. If you blacked out his figure, the way he plays, you would think he won like 4 World Cups. The crosses
From Hellas Verona.
Parma too, right?
I think Parma, right?
Maybe. Or is it both? Or
Maybe.
I know it's Parma for sure. It could be Verona too. They both were yellow. But the way Di Marco goes up, first of all, no one can hold on to him. Second
He was
of all,
on both.
He was on both. You can put so many guys on him. The quality balls he puts in the box, they're always dangerous. They're always dangerous.
And today he
It's
wasn't
incredible.
even amazing.
And he can finish too. He has a
He's
shot. He
he's
had
a
a shot in the first half.
thunderbolt of a shot.
It was this much.
And thank God Barella had a bad game because when Barella is on the game, forget
He's got an
about it.
attitude problem though sometimes.
you know
Barella
what
is too much.
Too nervous.
Oh my God.
Was too
The guy
nervous.
is so freaking negative. I love Barella. I praise Barella all the time. But today I really noticed
Yeah.
it. Like he's throwing his hands up. He must be one of those guys that, he's complaining in the side and everyone's like, all right, let him do his thing. Like
little
he's
drama queen.
he's
You
gonna
know,
throw a tantrum.
Simone wanted an excuse to sub. As soon as he got a yellow card, I said, okay, time for you to come out. So that's what they did.
Well, they
pulled
kept
him
the
out.
con in even though
they
he
kept
did
him on
yellow.
an extra 5 minutes and then Frattesi was already warmed up. I said, okay, get out.
Yeah.
So that's what he did.
So Mike makes a good point. I think it's something that us as fans in general, we're so quick. We think that, the player needs to be like Erling Haaland, who goes to the Premier League, 50 goals right away. Otherwise, you're a flop. You're a loser. But Inzaghi had to go from a team like Lazio that there's a completely different pressure. Anything you do to punch above your weight is seen as incredible to an Inter side where there was a lot of pressure. They were a better team than Milan the first year when you won the Scudetto 3 years ago. But they choked. They were not good enough. Last year, Napoli was amazing, but on paper, they were built to compete for the Scudetto. They had 12 losses. They were losing to freaking everybody, right? All the small teams. So I think he's learned. He's taken those battle wounds, and that's okay. That's what happens as a coach. We want to see him progress to the next level.
No, we don't. Sorry, we won. Hello, you do, not me.
Anyway, let's go to
He's
the next
honest.
topic. Let's go to the next topic.
You're honest.
I know our Roma is going to dominate the conversation. So before we go to that, Juventus also had a game where they won 3-0. Vlahovic scored 2 goals. And they asked him, he's got 11 goals on the season, second most in all competitions. 6 goals, 2 assists in his last 5 Serie A matches. So he's on fire, absolute fire. They asked him after the match, what's changed? Your attitude is different. Are you training different? He said, it's simple. I'm healthy. I wasn't healthy for a long time. He was dealing with an injury. Do you guys think it's that, or do you think it's just Juventus in general creating opportunities, Yildiz stepping up and being a player that is super creative? What do you pin it down to?
No, I think that in the beginning he had some hard time scoring, and sometimes things work out and sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes everything goes wrong and you're in front of the goal, like Thuram was, and you missed. And you hit the post and it goes out. And when things start to work out, he hit a ball yesterday, which he missed. He miskicked that ball, the first goal, right?
Yeah.
And the ball goes in. It bounces and it goes in.
If the ball wants to go in, it goes in.
Right.
It's form.
But when you start scoring goals and you got that confidence in you, it seems like everything that you do,
it's gold.
it works out.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's going on.
And it's confidence. He's now playing with confidence. He gets inside the area, he takes the shot, and I'm going to score this goal. And it's...
what are you laughing at? What are you going to say?
Say it, come on.
But things are working out.
Come on, this is a free platform. Don't worry.
You sure you want me to say it?
Let's see, Gaetano.
Say it.
It's like when you play football,
Yeah.
and
was
you're
thinking about
playing
that.
and you can't do anything right in football and you lose games.
That's most games for him.
And sometimes, you start, you're playing good in the first and you score, and then all of a sudden
Everything goes in.
But
Are you trying to downplay the way I play football?
Not for Antonio, because he loses most of the games.
But when he has those days, everything goes in.
It's like a full moon. Randomly, he
Yeah.
just like has a day that he's
And
unstoppable.
I remember one time this guy, he played pickleball one day, and this guy couldn't do anything. He beat everybody that day, but
Yeah, I
it's
remember that.
just
One
one
day.
day.
All right, let me just.
And you know what the funniest part is?
that's
We gave
funny.
Antonio so much credit that day. I remember that day in pickleball. He was hitting shots that the ball was out, and I don't know how
I
we
didn't go-
saved
I
it.
didn't go
you
that
weren't
day.
there.
So for me, he's
And
still the same player.
I remember we all wrote in the group chat, congratulations.
Yeah.
And my dad said, but you need to do it more than once. You can't do it one
You
time.
All right,
Speak
now
to
I'm
you
going
like
to
that.
answer the question. I'm going to answer. Listen, Mr. Producer, instead of being helping me out, but Eric,
Go.
I'm going to answer the
Mr.
question.
Producer says once in a blue moon.
Why Vlahovic is scoring this many goals? I'll tell you the reasons why. This is my personal opinion. Yildiz is drawing a lot of attention. Chiesa is drawing a lot of attention.
Well, Chiesa wasn't around yesterday.
Doesn't matter.
He's been injured.
If it's not Chiesa, it's going to be Milik. If it's always the 2-3 people drawing. He's not the light in the center of the block by himself. There are 3 players at any time from Juventus when they are inside of the box that they draw a lot of attention, that they force defender to just not to double on Vlahovic only. So Vlahovic, he finds himself many times with a lot of more space for him not to be free to score, but he's got more space than what it was allowed in the past. And I think it's paying high dividend for him because there is a lot of players in Juventus right now that they are very dangerous. Yildiz is one of them that I like it a lot. And,
We'll go to him next. Mike, anything else on Vlahovic?
I mean, Vlahovic, not just Vlahovic, but Juve in general. They're just they started the season off well, and they're just building off that momentum. Everything is going well. We talked about them not being in Europe. I think that's also a big factor. But we all know Vlahovic is a world-class player. If he gets his confidence, like Gaetano was saying, he's going to continue that. I'm just interested to see if they can really keep this form going until May. And I honestly believe they do, the way they're going through. And when February comes, that's going to be the rough patch for teams like Inter, Milan, Napoli, and everyone else in
Inter's
Europe.
schedule coming up is difficult.
That's what I'm saying. And I feel like
They got
that's
Fiorentina,
but that's when
Juventus,
Juve are going to
Champions
pounce
League.
on the opportunity to close the gap. Because right now, I believe it's only 2 points. And Juve are breathing on Inter's neck.
Well, you have the game in hand, so they're above.
Oh,
so
that's
they're
true.
on top.
Yeah. But whatever. Just say, let's say they play whatever the case is, because the Supercoppa, of course, they got the game in hand. But if Juve could keep breathing on Inter's neck and go down till May, I think anything could happen. The last few match days, I really think
So
it's
they
going to
have
go down.
they have 1 point advantage. Juventus 52
Yeah.
and
With a game
Inter's
in
on
hand.
51, but they
Inter
have that
have a
game in hand.
yeah.
I think for Vlahovic, for me, anyone who doubted him was crazy. The technique that he had, we saw it at Fiorentina. We saw it even at Juventus. He was dealing with an injury problem for a while. And also, Juventus didn't always play the best of football. Now, it's a mixture of all those things. He's healthy. He feels good. He's got a team that's creating more chances for him. He is a top center forward. And that's why, over the summer, I thought Juventus were crazy.
He was on the trading
to
block,
ever
right?
think about letting him go. Yes, they had financial problems. The guy is not just the future. He's the present and the future of the club. He could get you goals now, but he's also young enough to be a top center forward. And look at some of the teams in Europe, some of the best teams. They struggle for a center forward. It's not an easy position to find. Look at Arsenal. They got all the money in the world. They're still looking for a center forward like that. So for me, amazing. Real Madrid, even though Real Madrid, it always works out.
And City just
No
found
matter
one
what.
too, and they were looking for it, right?
But you know
for
what I
some
mean?
time.
Like,
Yeah,
it's so hard to find that. I'm telling you,
One of the
for
hardest
Juventus,
positions.
this is the guy. And they were crazy for thinking of selling him. Yildiz, by the way, what do you make of him? Because we haven't had your thoughts on him. 18 years old.
Yildiz has got all the
potential.
to become a really great player. It's a little bit early, but he does things at his age that you don't do at 18 years old. You don't do those things. I mean, he takes on. He's not afraid to take on players. He's got 2 players. He's trying to go through them, both of them, and he does. And then he's got the courage to take a shot and score. And it's not easy when you have players at Juventus. First of all, you're at Juventus.
Yeah.
Then you have players like Milik on the bench. You know, you're playing with Vlahovic. You're playing with players that have a lot of experience. Locatelli, McKennie. And you,
Robbie,
at 18, you go inside the field and you got the courage. Hey, I belong here. It's like he's saying, hey, I belong in this position. I'm going to score. It's very, very difficult.
And to be under the coach like someone like Allegri, you would never think Allegri would like that style. You would think Allegri would like that rigid kind of player with experience, but he really carving his way into this team. He reminds me a little bit like how I want Gnonto to be, but I feel like Gnonto has been more reserved.
Let's not compare Gnonto with Yildiz.
No, in terms of how he goes forward, he's a tricky player. He's quick. He's not afraid to go forward.
He's like a proper old school 10.
Right
you don't really get a lot of guys like Yildiz
in the
anymore.
modern game, the trequartista role has kind of almost vanished.
He's more attacking, but he reminds me of a 10 just by like his flair and his
but
dribble
it's just
and
fun
his
to
touch.
watch. He's just as a regular football fan, he's just a fun player
really
to
excited
watch.
with
And
him.
being
I
a young,
would say it's a
someone
lot
like
more
them.
powerful than Brahim Diaz in terms of his progression and his physicality.
Have you seen Brahim Diaz at Real Madrid lately?
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
I watched Real Madrid's game, which was daylight robbery against Almeria. I send you guys that Vinny, that was for sure a handball. I never seen anything like it. But Brahim Diaz on a play before, he got a ball, far ball, maybe 30 yards.
With his hand.
He controlled it with his chest one touch. His second touch, he nutmegs the defender inside the box. Brahim Diaz is playing amazing at Real Madrid. Anyway, sorry.
But again, Yildiz, what we were saying with Gaetano, is the one that, Mike had a good point. When you play for Allegri and the guys are very stiff, Allegri's a stiff. You're making a mistake with Allegri in the first game, you probably bench for the rest of your career. So, but this guy here, he's got pelotas. He's got balls. He comes in and he's not afraid. He's 18 years old. It's not afraid of all the crowd. It doesn't get affected.
He's a true
by
talent.
He's a true talent. So I think this is going to play high dividend. And to finish up again on Juventus, I found myself to be cheering for Juventus. You know the reasons why. Not because I like Juventus, but I want them to be breathing on the neck, like Mike said, of Inter.
Yeah.
I think he's got the quality, you said it, that you can't teach, and that's the courage to take on your man.
Yeah.
That's I mean, you think about Italy winning the Euros. It's what I always think about was Chiesa. Remember that when we were watching Italy in the Euros, and there's so many times we had Berardi, these guys going backwards, Insigne's going backwards, and then a guy like Chiesa came on and he's ready to dribble his man. That's what unlocks teams. That's what wins, and that's it's one of the hardest things to find in football. So the fact that he's doing it at 18 is amazing. Let's go on to last topic, but we got a couple of different sidebars on this one.
But we didn't say anything about AC Milan.
Mourinho was sacked
From
Roma. Guys, we'll talk about De Rossi. We'll talk about what his future is, because maybe he's got ready coming back to Serie A. What do you think? As a boy who loved Roma growing up, what do you think about him sacked?
I received a few messages from big Roma fan, and these guys, they have Roma as a religion. You know, I am a tifoso. I like the game. I like the beautiful game. I mean, if AC Milan is playing, if Juventus is playing, if another team, I'll watch it. And last year, I was in love with Napoli, the way they were playing. So I'm not really the traditional tifoso that they have. I'm more of a Serie A fan.
Flipper, baby.
Opposite of him.
But
Look at him, look at him.
I received
This guy's got Anto on
a
his
few
shirt.
messages from
Milan shirt.
from big Roma fan. I mean, these people, when the game is on, they will change their clothes to watch the game. They will put flags all over the house. They will watch the game with a flag over them. And the message was, this man is a gentleman. He came to Roma. He made us win a trophy, an European trophy, which we haven't won
14 years.
in a long time. He was almost won another trophy, was very close. He brought the fans together. Why didn't we give him a little bit more chance? Why didn't we give him a little bit more time? Maybe he could have done. He's not too far from fourth place. So the message was we should have given him more time to until the end of the season. And I agree with that. I agree with that. He should have. He needed a little bit more time, and that he was not handled the right way from the Friedkin.
What's your counter to people saying there's teams like Fiorentina and teams like Bologna that have less resources than them, that are punching above their weight, and they're in a higher position than Mourinho's Roma, who gets paid the highest salary in Italy?
Well, things don't always work out the way you want it to work out. I mean, I know that this is going to sound like an excuse, but Abraham was not there. He could have used somebody. Pellegrini was having a terrible season. He said he asked for more. He was not giving it to him. Especially, he needed a couple of more players. But the project is not a year. The project, it takes a few years for the project to work out. That's why I think, if they would have given him more time, maybe he could have, next year he could have had a great year. If Abraham came back, if he got another, he had Smalling, he was out. So he was missing something there, was missing something in midfield, was missing...
I think Mourinho, to be honest with you, I mean, the writing was on the wall. I think he's overriding a little bit. I mean, he's taking more of this victory lap, the fact that he won in the past with the Champions League, he won it in England, he won here. Hey, you've been in Rome. The vast majority of the time, he's a polarizing figure. You make the game to be about yourself. You find yourself most of the time, and many times, not most of the time, watching the game from the tribuna, from the stand, instead of being on the field helping the team. It's always this kind of a controversial. Everybody gets a negative call against from referees. AC Milan, we are the number one. We've been penalized, but hey, we take our. That many times I was saying, hey, Pioli, why can't you be somewhere in between you and Mourinho? I mean, just complain a little bit more. Not a la Mourinho. You don't have to be the showman on the sideline, but just do something else. But to me, the writing was on the wall, and they have the third most expensive budget for the team, for a Serie A
For
team.
salaries.
For salaries.
But you know why they spend so much on salaries? It's because they get all free transfers.
But Marco,
When
listen,
you get a free transfer, you spend more on the
but
salary.
Marco,
True,
he asked for Lukaku, he got Lukaku.
Dybala.
Barely.
Yeah, well, he got Dybala, he got Lukaku, he got a bunch of other players. I mean, hey,
Patricio.
I think the Friedkins,
I mean, that was Mendes' thing. That's his call.
the Friedkins, they were looking for that excuse to just get him out because, the loss with AC Milan was painful.
Listen, okay,
The team did not play.
It was more
they
the
didn't even score
it
one.
was more the loss in the derby.
Yeah, okay,
Against
listen.
Lazio.
Yeah.
I just wanted to...
On the Coppa Italia?
I just wanted to add, I understand... I agree with some parts of Gaetano, and I also don't agree on some parts. The parts that I agree on, that it was huge winning first ever European trophy. That's huge. That's always gonna go down in history. We're gonna be it is gonna be remembered.
Conference League.
The first one ever.
Did you see how the Roma fans
regardless.
celebrated
Anto,
it?
that's a big trophy, and having winning in 14 years is really
fine.
big.
I'll
But
give it to
also, I'm a big fan of Mourinho. I just like this personality. I feel like he brings this nice energy to the team, and I feel like if you're one of his players, you would really die for him. You'd really give it your all, which I really liked about that. But when he came to Rome, I was all aboard with him. But over the past few years, when he had this team, I just honestly think his football is kind of outdated. I agree with Anto where you were saying he's kind of running the victory laps of his past things. I don't think his football fits his modern game. And whenever Roma did have a full fit squad, which wasn't much, I didn't see that progressive football that it could become. It was always like they were struggling, or it was always like, it has to be a last minute winner or individual brilliance. It was never, a team effort from Roma doing this. I can actually see them doing incredible things for the future. For me, I never saw that. And if you don't actually see a plan like that, they won the European trophy and all, but if you don't see progress of performance year in and year out, actually achieving something better, I think it's very tough. But it is tough attracting the club's appeal, bringing players like Lukaku, Dybala. I don't think any other coach could bring someone like that to Roma. You need a top coach to do that. Selling out games every game, I think it was 40 consecutive. Very few people could do that. But when you look at the grits of everything, you got to see the progress of football. Just black and white, and to me, I didn't think Roma's performances were good enough to continue.
But you
Mourinho.
need the players also.
I get that.
Okay. But he brought in a European trophy, and he was in a final.
Yeah.
Which I think they deserved that final.
Yeah. But against Sevilla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna ask you a question. How far away is Roma from being fourth place? How many points?
I would say 4, 5.
Okay,
right.
they're 2 points away.
All right, 2 points
from fourth place.
But
how many other teams are?
How many teams are fighting?
Okay, but you are 2 points away.
They have a game in hand.
They have
a game in hand in those.
If you win a couple of games, I mean, you had Verona coming up. Verona,
but that's why they did it. They gave it to De Rossi so that he could have an easier schedule.
Right.
Yeah.
The timing is not stupid.
You think so?
Of course.
100%.
Got to build confidence.
Listen,
and they almost.
I love De Rossi.
Don't go to De Rossi yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because let me give my opinion on Mourinho.
Okay.
I love Jose, everything that you said. I experienced his team in Rome, and the energy is the most infectious energy you could ever experience in a game. The fans sing Mourinho's name louder than they sing any other player's name that comes out. So that aspect I loved. And I think, I said this before, just the marriage between Roma and Mourinho did not make sense. It did not make sense because you bring in a guy like Mourinho, you expect the players. You expect we're going to try to fight in every competition, where the first year they spent money. The second and third year, they didn't spend anything because of their FFP problems, because they were dealing with past wounds from Monchi when they had so many players. So it didn't make sense. And they didn't have a top sporting director like the best teams have. Bologna with Sartori. Look what they're doing now. Juventus with Giuntoli. Napoli had Giuntoli. All the great teams. Inter with Beppe Marotta. You have to have that marriage. You have to have a perfect unity of everything. And Thiago Pinto was not it at all for Roma. So in that sense, I feel like Mourinho was hindered. And I felt like he was building up. They won the Conference League. In Europa League, he went all the way to the final. And he dropped out of Serie A. He put the focus because he said we have more of a chance to get Champions League football. And they almost did it. They went to penalty kicks. And they had such a lack of talent that they couldn't even score penalty kicks. That was embarrassing. And I love that he made them fight in Europa League. And you said that he's 2 points away in the table. They're also in the Europa League, where I think they have a good chance, and he deserved the chance to finish the season with this Roma side, and then they could have evaluated what the project is and where to go forward. I don't think they were so far off that you had to sack him now. For me, wasn't respectful enough. Having said all of that, I do understand all the negativity around him. I understand that there are teams that are doing better. This Roma was built so poorly.
Okay, but
they're so poor.
But how about honestly, their performance? You said I agree with a lot of your points. But performance-wise, when you see Roma play, you see them continuously getting better.
I think
and that's a lot of Mourinho's straight-up tactics and how he plays.
Because they have to play like that. For me, I see what everyone's saying about De Rossi. You sent the message.
Players.
You sent the message about De Rossi. Oh, we're gonna play with the ball on the ground, no long balls, 1-2 passes. That sounds amazing. Yeah. But I don't think that they have the players to try to play that football.
I'm not saying play like Inzaghi, but you got to be playing better. There's so many teams that under him that are playing better on paper
because they have good. They built the players all together. They're built to play a good style. Like Roma's, you watch some of Roma's defenders. They don't even want the ball. Then they have to build out of the back. You're going to build out of the back with Rui Patricio and those three defenders that want to kick the ball away.
Let their midfielders actually string a few passes without launching the ball, actually build a play. I'm not saying play like Pep Guardiola. I'm not saying play like Inzaghi, but they got to do better than that because a lot of teams, even from Serie B that just came up, they play more attractive than how Mourinho plays.
They try to play a system. They try to play with wing backs. Spinazzola and Zalewski, I haven't seen them make a good cross in I don't know how long. But so that's what I'm saying. But it's all of those things together.
I get it. Yeah,
they're not balanced. They're not perfectly meshed together. And that comes from Mourinho and Thiago Pinto deciding what players and what guys are we going to get. And then having to go on the market and get a guy like Renato Sanchez, who maybe has quality, but the guy's always injured. So you don't have that consistency. Dybala is amazing, but he's always injured. So you don't have that consistency.
That's
and then
also
the drop
choices
off.
Too.
Exactly. But that's my point.
But also
that's my exact point.
Bring it sound like we were talking about Rui Patricio, who sometimes he makes a nice save, but then he costs the team 2-3 points on average, whatever the case is. Their teams are handpicked. He brings someone, Chris Smalling. He was doing good for a while, but he's older. He's going to be injury prone and stuff like that. So it's not just Mourinho, of course. It's a sporting director. It's the team, but I think it's also the approach.
You're working on a project.
Yeah.
Okay? You got to give a chance to the project.
Yeah.
Okay?
For sure.
I'm reading Sir Ferguson's book.
Yeah.
Okay? He didn't win at the beginning.
Yeah.
But they could have sacked him. If it was in Italy, he would have probably been sacked.
The first week.
Yeah, the first couple of years. He didn't win anything, and they would have sacked him. So you need to, if you're building a project, it depends what your project is all about. I think that you sit down, when you go to a club, you sit down with the owners, and you sit down with the coach and with the director and say, hey, where do we want to go?
I think he was promised different things.
You know, where do you want to go? And how much money do you want to spend?
But a guy like Mourinho comes in, you don't think that he talks that stuff?
Well, let's just say he was at Spurs, right? He was there, and he had a pretty big budget. I don't think he did anything before that. What was it, Chelsea before too, right?
Chelsea, yeah.
How long was he there for? And I feel like he went off on a similar tangent. That's why I do feel like that
but
is
But he won the championship. He won. He won at Chelsea.
Yes, what's an EPL?
And also at Tottenham.
But he got whatever he wanted at Spurs.
We're also talking about a place that Antonio Conte, who's won everywhere, he couldn't even win at Tottenham. They're competing with freaking Manchester City, Manchester United, teams that spend billions of dollars compared to what Tottenham spent.
But not even about the winning. It was a style of play too.
But I agree with Mike. I gotta be honest with you. Let me tell you why Mike has got a point over here.
I know I have some kind of point. I'm not saying I'm 100% right, but there's something in there.
Why do you think this decision was made, and it was made so fast? The last 2-3 games. De Rossi. There is a lot of stuff out there that we don't know.
Of course.
I partially agree with Gaetano that maybe Rome is split. Not between Rome and Lazio, but Rome, la tifoseria, Roma fans are split.
Yeah.
On Mourinho. It's a lot of them that they like him, and a lot of them that don't like him. I know it because I speak with a lot of them, unfortunately, because when things that go very bad, I see them, and I see them outside of my favorite bakery.
Oh, boy.
All right? And they talk to me. He said, Mourinho, da-da-da-da-da-da. Let me not say it. There's a lot of big controversy that Mourinho has created. And for me, to have De Rossi already plugged in. De Rossi, it wasn't, oh, now the Roma is going to be searching for another coach. De Rossi was already part of the equation. De Rossi was brought in immediately because Mourinho was supposed to be sacked probably 2-3 weeks before.
They were thinking about it.
Right. So De Rossi was already on inside over there, and I said, hey, let's wait until then because otherwise we're gonna be named like that we hate him and all the stuff. So let them give him another couple chances. With AC Milan, he did very poorly. With the Derby, did very poorly. The Coppa Italia Derby did again poorly. Then you know what? Enough is enough. So they got De Rossi in. De Rossi, it might not be that far off as a coach from Mourinho. He has never coached.
We don't know anything
at
yet.
Spal.
He coached at
But
Spal.
let me finish.
And he relegated them.
De Rossi will command the respect of the player. De Rossi has played with some of the players that they play in Rome right now.
But just as a figure.
He has shared the field with them.
As a figure.
What I'm going to try to tell you is that De Rossi is going to command the respect of the player. And De Rossi, I think, with minor little adjustment, with some little luck, because you need a lot of luck over there, maybe he's going to be able to tell Mancini, hey, listen, I don't need you to be too crazy because then you're going to get another yellow. I need you to be on the field, not to be sacked. He's going to probably bring few adjustments that is going to probably put the reset button on this Roma team that is been needed for a long time. Mourinho, great coach. Nobody's saying anything. But Mike is right. His style of coaching is done. It's long gone.
You know what? I disagree. I think
It's
that
long
I still believe. I think he could take a team.
Like what? Give me like an example in terms of a team.
I would have loved for him to take over Portugal. I would have loved for him because he would have had amazing quality of players. I think he's built for a national team. He's built for a tournament team, and I think he can make those guys still win today. That would have been perfect situation. Anyway, let's move on. De Rossi, right? He coached his first game. They had like half and a half, 60 minutes.
They had a good first half. The second half, everything looked like it was going down the drain.
60 minutes, they were playing really
missed
good.
Another back-to-back penalty. Who scored for Laurentiis? I keep mispronouncing his name.
Florencio.
I keep
Whatever.
Whatever. He scored an amazing goal. Rui Patricio, he messed up regardless. But Verona did look like a team, whatever. They're fighting to stay up in Serie A. You know, it's never going to be easy. And of course, De Rossi's first game, there's a lot on the line with that. But yeah, it was like the tale of two halves. I really wanted De Rossi to win that game, you know, just for the mentality for them. And, you know, who doesn't love De Rossi as a person? He reminds me of like a Gattuso 2.0. He's like one of those guys, he's going to go through with Grinta and he's going to love the players. He's just one to be. He's like one of the boys, you know? And I agree with you, Anto, that he was playing with some of them or whatever the case is. He's just a legend of the club, so he's always going to demand that respect. But first game off,
you cannot really.
It's hard to do it with only a few days of practice and stuff. He changed up some stuff. So against Verona, it was a, I guess, good test. At the end of the day, it's a win. I'm excited to see how they do in their next game.
You're not the proof of Mike is saying, Marco, that is really is stuck with me. The most. Forget about the game. The game was not the best game, the most brilliant game. But the fact that after the game, De Rossi's invested. De Rossi's like a Totti, a little lesser than Totti. Those are the only two names that you go to Roma, you see the kids wearing the jersey.
Yeah, we know this.
You see Totti, you see De Rossi. So when De Rossi after the game ha fatto quasi il giro del campo, you know, he went all the way around. De Rossi has not really tear on the eyes, but his eyes were teared off. This guy here, he means business. This guy is the heart of Roma.
Okay, but this is all great and we understand this, but we have to move on to the next thing, which they have to win games. They have to get in. You sack Mourinho because he's not in Champions League football. You need to get into Champions League football. But it's a very intelligent move from the Friedkins because imagine sacking Mourinho and going, let's just say, for example, like Mazzarri, how they got Mazzarri. Rome would have burnt down. They would have burnt everything down. They got De Rossi because he's a good show of face to the fans. No one will ever... He could lose every single game. They will never boo a guy like Daniele De Rossi. He coached Spal. He wasn't successful. I heard from Spal players that played there, he wants to play a very good style, a progressive style, but we didn't have the players to do it. So it was a good first half. He was thrown into an impossible situation when he coaches a team like that. The players were running for him. I take that as a positive. I love De Rossi more maybe than any other player. He's one of my favorite players of all time. But we have to see what is going to be this Roma for the future and how seriously do they take Europe. I still have so many question marks around him coming in for the next 6 months, if Roma will finish higher with him or if they would have kept Mourinho.
Well, I love the Rossi, and I met him so many times. That the first time I met him was in the year 2000 when they came here. They played against Real Madrid. They was very young. He didn't play in that game, and he was there with Cassano. Was there too. So I go way back, and then I met him a couple of months ago in New York, and he gave me his number, and I sent him a message this morning. And after 30 seconds, he replied.
Who is this?
To the message. And,
I'm kidding, guys.
so I wish him all the best, and I hope that he does great. He's the son of Rome. He's one of the gladiators. There are very few gladiators in Rome, and he's one of them. So I wish him all the best. He said he wants to play from the back. He wants to play the ball on the ground. That's great because everybody wants to do that.
People said that too.
I was with Filippo Inzaghi, and I happened to be in the same room, and he was only a few yards away from me. So I was listening to the conversation. I don't know who he was talking to, but he was saying that I want to teach him to play from the back. I want to teach him, to play possession of the ball, but. You need the players, okay? If you're a Salernitana and you want to play, like Man City or Barcelona, but you're never going to do it.
Yeah.
You might think that that's what you want to do, but you need the players to do it. So,
sure.
You need the players to start from the back. It's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult to start from the back. The way Barcelona was playing, those were some of the best players in the world. And the skills that those guys had, I had never seen them before. To play a one-touch, two-touch, with a high pressure.
Yeah.
When somebody's putting pressure on you and you're playing one-touch, two-touch, it's almost impossible. So, let's see. Let's see
what
what
story!
happens.
What a story it would be if it did work out. But I feel like I'm being too romantic. And the one thing I'll say is that De Rossi, the human, is one of the best guys you could ever have around. Yeah. The humbleness. I remember watching the Italy documentary when he was an assistant coach with Mancini, and he didn't want his name to have any weight. That he won a freaking World Cup. He won the 2006 World Cup, and guess what he did? He was going to grab the cones, and one of the guys told him, "What are you doing? I'll go grab." One of the assistants, "I'll go grab." No. De Rossi, the coach, didn't earn anything. De Rossi, the coach, is at the bottom of the barrel. I go get the cones. To have that mentality in general for all of us,
Very
you
humble.
can learn from that. I wish him the absolute greatest. And the fact that he took this, he said, I don't need to know the salary. Put whatever number, $350K, no option for renewal.
For the money.
I need to prove my point.
He got a little peek of it before he signed, though.
All of those things are brilliant, and I hope they're going to do well.
Yeah.
But I do have my doubts if they will finish higher with De Rossi than Mourinho. Last thing, and we wrap up, Mourinho might go to Napoli. That's the rumors right now.
I gotta tell you
what do you
something.
guys think?
All right, let me you brought it up. I don't want to say it, but you brought it up. Okay. Just the fact that you haven't left the door yet, and the door has not closed behind your...
The door is closed. What do you mean?
One
the door
second.
the door is locked.
I am making this kind of a... The door is about to close. The dust is still not settled as soon as you just got the door out and you're already talking to Napoli.
Why not?
You have to let some time go by. I'll have some respect. You've been sacked.
He's got bills to pay.
They had no respect for him.
First of all,
they sacked him in with nothing.
They didn't have any respect for him.
He has a point.
Let the dust settle a little bit
For what reason?
and then talk to Napoli. But don't make like this big title news. Mourinho is
He's
already
not writing
talking.
it. He's not the one.
Yeah,
he's not working for Rai.
He's been... the fact that a lot of people are writing that out, that he's okay with it.
What do you think? Forget it for this argument. What do you think about Mourinho?
What do you mean? It's great.
Yeah.
I want Mourinho in Serie A.
Me too.
I don't want him to go play and coach in another
country.
Another country.
We fit Napoli?
Now he's going to go. Maybe I don't even know what.
He said he's not going to go to Saudi.
No. But France, maybe PSG. I don't know. I don't even know how
Bayern,
PSG.
they were saying.
Bayern. I don't want it. I want him to stay in Italy.
Yeah.
And if it in Italy means Napoli, why not? Welcome with open arms.
Is it the complete opposite football as Spalletti last year?
Listen, in Napoli, Napoli's got some great players. okay, the structure and the skeleton of Napoli is very, very good. To me, is Mazzarri that does not know how to put this team together.
Not totally fair to him.
But the chemistry is there. The chemistry is there. The great players are there. It's just to put them together, make them believe in themselves again, and they can win again. Because, you know,
it is a good argument.
You know, Osimhen, where are you going to find?
He would love Osimhen.
You know, Kvaratskhelia, Osimhen. I mean, he's got great players.
Yeah, only two.
Zelinski.
Zelinski's gone.
But
Zelinski's
he's
a
there.
player.
Right now he's there. Maybe with a different coach, he would stay.
Lobotka,
because
Anguissa.
Lobotka, Anguissa is a great player. What are you talking about?
They had a great year, and now everybody's taking them out.
I mean, they have excellent player. The only guy that left, it was Kim, you know, but the rest of the players, you know, at the beginning, they were all there. Now maybe they want to run away, but when Anguissa comes back, Osimhen comes back, Kvaratskhelia, Zelinski, Lobotka, what are you talking about?
I agree with you in a certain extent, Gaetano, but it's hard for me to realize. I do want him to stay in Serie A, but I think it's just my selfish idea of me wanting him to stay. I don't know if he can succeed. I don't think he's going to evolve his football. I honestly don't. And Napoli, I don't think he's going to replicate what Spalletti
But does he need to?
He does.
Like for example, a guy like Ancelotti, if you judged him by what he did at Everton, people would say he's a failure. If you judge him what he does at Real Madrid, you say he's the greatest coach of all time or one of the greatest coaches. It's also about the resources that you have, certain coaches. For me, Jose Mourinho is one of those coaches that if you still gave him a good team, a really good team, he'll make a good team great. He'll evolve them to the next level, give them that mental edge. Roma at one point had the most goals in the last 15 minutes of all of Europe because he gives that character. He gives us against the world mentality.
But are we going to see Napoli playing pin-back football and go for that 1-0 win? Or are we going to see them play Spalletti kind of football, passing 1-2, going through players?
Spalletti's gone. That's gone.
But that's where I feel like Napoli exceeded.
But that's what Rudy Garcia and Mazzarri said that they did. They said, "Oh, we played the 4-3-3. I studied.
But they didn't play like
studied
it. But they
Spalletti."
didn't play. They
I know
could
because
study
it
but they
sounds
failed.
great, but you can't go back.
I understand
you can't reverse
that.
time and get Spalletti.
But I'm saying, if you want to look at Rudy Garcia and you look at Mazzarri, they don't look even half as good as what Spalletti was. They just look poor.
Because it's not easy.
Marco,
it's not easy to be
Mourinho.
Spalletti.
For me, I do think they're going to demand more respect than a name like Rudy Garcia or Mazzarri. But is that enough?
I wish that Pete was here tonight because Pete, you know, he probably remembers more of the games that Inter played with Mourinho. But I remember a couple of games. But I remember one game, okay? Inter went to Chelsea. And nobody had beaten Chelsea at home. Nobody. He went there the year of the and he said, "I'm going to put pressure on Chelsea from the beginning." Nobody put pressure on Chelsea from the beginning because you lose. Everybody lost.
Yeah.
He went there. He won the game. So, but he had the players
in his prime.
But he had the
in
players.
Mourinho's prime.
Listen,
There's also prime for coaching.
Let me
I don't think there's prime just for playing.
You think his prime is gone?
Possibly. What has he won recently?
Do you think yes or no?
He won a European Cup with
I think
Roma.
Mourinho's done.
But I just think his kind of football. I don't think it's relevant anymore.
I'm not saying it's Napoli. I don't believe the Napoli rumors. I don't see the fit. I think De Laurentiis and Mourinho, they might choke each other out and kill each other.
That I agree.
So that's the part.
But if we would give him a job, man, it would be great.
One last thing. I don't think I see everybody stomping on the grave of Mourinho. I really think he's going to take another team. He's going to do a comeback, and he's going to win something
big.
What
team?
I don't know.
In Italy or
no?
anything?
It could be. I really think a national team would be great for him because
do
he
you
doesn't
think
have
he could do a national team?
I think with Portugal, he would kill it. I think he would. I think he would have if they would have gotten him before.
Who does Portugal have now? Martinez?
Yeah, I think
I'm gonna send a message to Mourinho because I know he follows us on IFTV. Jose, listen to me.
Jose is how you say.
Jose.
He hates when people say Jose.
Jose.
You already started off bad.
That's a Spanish way.
Jose.
He's not going to respond to you.
Then he placed you with De Rossi at Roma. The rumor is from my buddies over here that you will be interested in Napoli. Why don't you do what De Rossi did? You say, I'll come to Napoli and I will be coaching for $1 million just because I love Napoli and I love Napoli's fan. Just do it. And I'm sure people, they're going to stay. I'm going to be the first one coming to Napoli and just lay down so you can walk all over me. Like, I will be the red carpet. I will be the red carpet. You put a red carpet right on top of me.
AC Milan shirt?
Not AC Milan shirt. Nobody can walk on AC Milan shirt. But I will applaud your move if you go to Napoli with a minimum salary.
He's trying to earn your respect. He's trying to earn your respect, I think.
But the thing is, we didn't even get into numbers. We're just arguing philosophy. Yeah. We're just saying, in an ideal world, would he work there? Because we already said, De Laurentiis and him, they might shoot each other before they butt heads for ever work together. I can't imagine how those fiery personalities
he wants complete control.
Would understand. That's what scared me.
Should I say the quote that they did back in 2010?
I remember it. They asked him in 2010 about De Laurentiis signing, Mourinho signing for Napoli, and he said, they don't have the money for me. De Laurentiis doesn't have money to buy me.
You see?
Okay, we're talking about
100 years ago.
We're talking about in 2010.
14 years ago.
Anto.
Imagine if we'll do what I just said to him. I said, Jose, the offer is on the table.
He fixed the Jose.
Listen,
but you remember the other quote?
Maybe he'll learn.
Do you remember the second quote that he said with Mazzat?
You
want me to get it?
What De Laurentiis said?
Yeah. So what Marco said that Mourinho said how they can't afford me. De Laurentiis also responded back. He said, Mourinho, he would be the last manager I would hire, not even if they gifted him to me. I would take Mazzari over him 100 times.
Yeah, so that's why it's not going to work.
But this is 14 years ago. This also
how many times did they ask coaches?
Let me ask you one thing. How much does Mourinho make?
Oh, 7 million.
I think he was at like 8 million.
He was one of the highest. Next
So-
to Allegri, under Allegri.
So
they're close.
he refused to go to give Spalletti an extra million, and the guy makes $2 million, and now you're going to pay $8 million.
But that's why it's never going to happen. He's going to go to Napoli.
And the only reason why he was able to go to Rome is because they had the Decreto Crescita and the tax law that saved 40-50% on taxes, which is abolished
That's
now.
true.
Right.
So I think it's very
Even more
difficult.
difficult.
The only reason Mourinho will lower his salary is just to show everybody else, like,
Prove
yo, I'm
everyone
not
wrong.
done. I'm still here. I
Or
can
if he
still
finds a
do it.
girlfriend in Napoli that is going to say, you
he has a
want
wife.
to stay over here? Oh, he's got a wife? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
think so.
I don't go into the private life of the players and things
That's
like
all
that.
you do.
because he never brings his private life.
Oh, he
out.
doesn't.
He's got
Okay.
kids.
That's
he's
what
got
I
a
don't know.
wife.
I didn't know. I thought it was not married anymore. So
He's
I said,
low key, like you would
it's
say.
a low key. Okay. Hey, Mourinho, we still love you. I'll have a beer with you anytime. Okay.
Who's paying? Who's paying for the bill?
I am.
He just makes $8 million.
Doesn't matter. But for Mourinho, I will
He's
pay
a
for
good
the
guy.
beer.
We
Okay?
just said
He's a
that
good
he could afford a beer.
Nice.
We have one somber note I forgot to talk about this. It sucks to go down now, but Milan, we had a whole situation with Udinese and Maignan. We'll update on the situation. Maignan walked off the pitch after monkey noises were made towards him from Udinese fans. They found one fan, which I don't understand. How the hell do you find one person, only one person? Udinese took it into their hands. They banned him for life from the stadium. There's Daspo in Italy, which means he's banned from any sporting event for 5 years. Which 5 years is...
That's nothing.
Why the hell?
should be-
Okay.
Where do you come up with the number 5? It should be for life, because then he could just go to an Udinese away game. He could go to Milan. He could go to another stadium,
Right.
which is so stupid.
Yeah.
The fact that they have that and the fact that they only found one person so far is ridiculous.
I mean, to me, it's very, very simple. You have the TV. You know where they come from.
They have the cameras too.
They have the cameras. You have the names of the people.
Yeah.
Because I think you have
You
to
need a
give the
passport.
names.
You give a passport to buy a ticket.
So you get the TV, you put them there, you show the faces to the whole
And you
world.
check the ticket prices of the to see, and you can find them.
And you suspend them.
Yeah.
You
I have a
suspend
better
them.
solution, Gaetano.
And you suspend them. You cannot go to the stadium anymore. You will see how this will shut it down, because they did it in other stadiums. They did it. They did it in England with the
Ultras, right?
yeah,
in the
with
80s and the
with
90s.
the hooligans.
Yeah.
You know, they stop. It's very. It's
I have
very
a
severe.
better solution.
And they had a problem here in a football game. Okay, you know what they did with the football game? They went and they put the camera in front of the faces of those people, and they threw him out. And they took him out. It never happened again. It happened in one game, and that's it. So it's very easy to take care of it. The problem is that they don't want to do that, because these are the ultras, and these are the ones that support the team, and without them, and they go away. No, kick him out. Take the 100 idiots and take them out of the field.
Yeah.
And if you cannot do it for public safety, you know who they are. On Monday morning, you go to their house, and at that time you can arrest them, and you can say, listen, from now on you will never watch a soccer game again. You will see it how you stop it. You will stop it in 1 week. You will
That's
stop
true,
it.
yeah.
They
needs to be
should just
done,
ban
yeah.
from all sporting
Yeah.
sporting events.
Sporting
No
events in
5
general.
years. That's just
For
stupid.
life.
Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. We'll talk to you soon.
Ciao,
Like and subscribe.
guys.
Ciao ragazzi.